Welcome to the 15th lesson of SmartKnitter, Knit Instructions Level 2. In this class, we will explain conversion of knitting symbols. Let's take a look at the first example. This file showcases a swatch pattern with floats. Post-translation, you can observe that the feeders are converted to partial knitting with feeder kickbacks, preventing the formation of floats. Return to the SmartGraph interface. Fill the empty needle stitch symbol in the empty spaces. Retranslate to maintain the feeder without back-and-forth movements. Let's move on to the next example. In this file, the intention is to incorporate back stitches in color 11. Additionally, bird's eye backing is desired in color 3. Employ the Change Both function to alter the stitches symbol in color 11 to back tubular stitches. Use the Pattern Change function to modify the symbol of the last stitch of color 3 before transitioning to color 11 to front knit, then transfer to back. Remember to adjust the transition between the ribs starting rows to color 11 as well. This adjustment is crucial as the back tubular stitch does not generate with any auto transfers during translation. Failure to set the transition correctly may result in an excessively long loop hold. Upon retranslation, you can see the structure is knitted correctly. Let's move on to the next example. This file involves an opposite directional transfer of 8 stitches, followed by a cast-on procedure. The cast-on method employed is the 1x1 single jersey cast-on, which may lead to laddering issues. Select the transfer pattern area and modify the cast-on appropriately using the Pattern Change tool. Upon retranslation, a 1x1 ribs transfer with a 1x1 jersey on the second row should yield a better cast-on result. Let's move on to the next example. This structure contains pointelles on ribs. After translation, you'll notice that at the pointelle position, front stitches are transferred to the back adjacent stitch, then transferred to the front behind the stitch beside. If you prefer the transferred stitch to cover the original stitch, follow these steps. Select the pointelle structure area. Use the pattern change tool to adjust the transfer symbol and the adjacent symbol accordingly. After modification, the side stitch should also be transferred to the back and then returned after the lateral transfer. Let's move on to the next example. This file features a 1 by 1/2 Milano structure. During the short rows, back tucks are added to secure the yarn before the feeder is moved back in the opposite direction. However, after knitting the short rows, the tuck and the back stitches are transferred to the front simultaneously. This transfer method is not ideal for machine knitting. Return to the SmartKnitter interface, select the short row section. Change the back stitch at the edge from a back knit symbol to a back knit, then transfer to front symbol. Upon retranslation, the back stitch should be knitted and transferred to the front before the feeder is kicked back in the opposite direction with a front tuck for security. Let's move on to the next example. In this file, there is a transfer to the opposite direction, followed by a direct cast-on. After translation, it is evident that the adjacent stitches are both new cast-on stitches, making it prone to coming off the knitting hook and causing laddering. Return to SmartKnitter. Select the pattern range and use the pattern change tool to adjust the symbols after the transfer row to include one knit symbol with one empty stitch symbol, alternating every 2 rows. This adjustment will split the cast-on stitches into 2 rows, enhancing security and ease of knitting on the machine. Following these steps will ensure a more stable cast-on process. This marks the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching.